Basically, when I started making a sound that was natural to me, basically me going back to my influences as a child and as a toddler, and I think naturally that's how I dress and I look nowadays. Like, this is how I looked when I was a toddler, so had the same haircut and basically the clothes fit me the same. I'll hear a melody in my head, take a phrase I've heard that summarizes that emotion, and then I come up with the chord progression and arrangement. I wouldn't have like a good state of mind if I didn't have something like that to release my energy into. I have this like ongoing dream that happens every once in a while of this very like cartoon like animated rabbit running down train tracks, and I'm like chasing him because he has a key or something.
As I got older, I found how blissful it was to embrace the colors I wore and the sounds that I made. I think once you express a true interpretation of yourself, then life becomes beautiful.
Surreal indie alt artist Brendan Patrick Rice, or Gus Dapperton, who produces, records, and creates all of his own music, is often labeled as bedroom pop, though he doesn't like the box that this genre becomes confined to based on the connotations drawn from the interpretation of the words bedroom pop. His passion for music began with an interest in creating with Garageband, Apple's free music program. He prefers to work alone in order to materialize his ideas very quickly, putting 110% into his work. But what is that work? Well, plug in and let's check it out.
Initiating information transfer. Processing facts and data. Data successfully converted. You are now plugged into coal iron wire.
1997.
On March 11th, Gus Dapperton is born in Warwick, New York.
2002.
Or
2003.
Gus's younger sister, Ruby Amadelle, is born.
2007.
Gus begins messing around with the guitar in the 4th grade.
2010.
In the 8th grade, Gus wins a songwriting contest where everyone in his class has to make a song and present it to the class, and the winner gets to visit the town radio station. After he wins using GarageBand, which he develops an interest in, he visits his town's radio station, where they end up playing his song on air. In an interview with Cortex, he says he got really into the contest because he was already drawing, painting, filming, and writing, but music was his favorite form of expression when he discovered it.
2011.
Gus develops his passion stemming from the contest and experience he had last year and begins making music, drawing inspiration from David Bowie, MF Doom, Odd Future, and more.
2015.
Gus graduates high school, where he was on the diving team and played lacrosse. He also moves to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania this year.
2016.
On May 9th, Gus releases his first song, Moodna, Once With Grace, a slow love song of sorts representing some of the first synth sounds we hear from Gus. He also begins attending Drexel University this year to study music technology after encouragement to stay in school from his parents.
2017.
On August 3rd, Gus releases his debut EP, Yellow and Such, where he speaks on the intricacies of relationships such as love and loss, and more on the first 2 songs. He then addresses fashion on the 3rd song, Gum Toe and Soul, before returning to the topic of love on the 4th song, The Fool. Gus says he wants people to know that he views visuals as a very important part of the conception of his music, and the narrative of the songs conveyed messages. On September 14th, in an interview with Pawn Magazine, Gus reveals that he recently started expressing himself more with makeup.
2018.
In an interview with What the Sound, published on January 9th, Gus says he's been cutting his own hair since the 8th grade, as well as tailoring his clothes to his own liking. He also shares that he's working on a children's book currently, with plans to print copies and release merchandise with, but not officially publish. On February 11th, Gus releases the EP, You Think You're a Comic, where he addresses love, attraction, drugs, loss, and dedicates the 3rd song, Amadelle with Love, to his sister. He then takes a semester off in order to go on an American and European tour, joined by his sister on the keyboard. He doesn't return to college after, citing an overly competitive nature in the music department as a reason. Leaving college, he moves in with his parents in Long Branch, New Jersey, before going to New York City. His song, Of Lacking Spectacle, also appears on the soundtrack for Netflix's 13 Reasons Why series.
2019.
On April 19th, Gus releases his debut album, Where Poly People Go to Read, where he speaks on love, dreams, vanity, regrets, attraction, fashion, uncertainty, jealousy, and maturing. The album is riddled with catchy 80s synths, retro drum kit effects, and poppy sounds. On September 13th, he releases the EP, In Passing 1, in collaboration with Hayes Bradley, who was going by B. Hayes at the time. An interview with Gus by the Daily Californian is published on March 26th, with Gus live on camera from his room at home, going about his normal routine. In it, Gus says he's not too fazed by the fame and is an introvert that doesn't feel overly comfortable with social interactions.
2020.
In an interview with Teeth magazine published on June 17th, Gus says he wanted to be a surfer or skateboarder when he was younger. On September 18th, he releases the album Orca, saying the name is representative of the internal pain and suffering suffered by orcas in captivity. On it, he speaks on confidence, fears, confusion, love, life, sacrifice, attraction, drugs, and pain. While it does still have a lot of synth sounds, Orca feels more like it was focused on melody through instruments. The same day, he posts an AMA to the Indie Heads thread on Reddit, revealing that his favorite animal is an orca whale. In an interview with Toecoin published on December 2nd, he says, though he usually makes music for pure enjoyment, Orca was more of a therapeutic process.
2021.
On June 11th, Gus releases a deluxe version of Orca, featuring 3 new songs. In an interview over sushi with Business Insider published on October 6th, he references when he dabbled on the guitar, talking about how it was more of a personal choice. He was pushed to pursue sports, as that's what he was good at, and children most often supported doing things that they are good at, which makes sense. His sister was pushed to sing, though, as that's what she was good at.
2022.
Gus signs with Warner Records, releasing a cover of Landslide by Fleetwood Mac with news of the signing. In an interview with Interview Magazine... Fucking... Really? Interview Magazine? That doesn't even sound... I gotta cite that one. Anyway... In an interview over dinner with Interview Magazine staff published on March 7th, it is revealed that Gus's karaoke song of choice on tour is Best I Ever Had by Drake at the time, though Gus responds that he wanted to do Let Me Love You by Mario, but he couldn't find it.
2023.
On July 7th, Gus releases the album Henge, speaking on risks, accomplishments, relationships, people changing, his journey, love, attraction, and it all wraps up with a spoken word piece by the author Ocean Vuong. In an interview with the Rice Thresher on October 17th, he reveals that he used to post music to SoundCloud under multiple aliases depending on the vibe.
In conclusion.
Gus Dapperton, an introverted musician who stays in his room turning dreams into realities through his music, bringing his friends and family with him on his artistic endeavors. He draws most of his general inspiration from unexpected sources, be it Dr. Seuss, David Bowie, MF Doom, or Malcolm Gladwell. What can he make next? Only time will tell. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you learned something new, share the video for others to learn too. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, or recommendations, put them in the comments. Visit the website and cop something to embrace your spark for knowledge. Keep up with Kalyanwire between the videos through Reddit, Discord, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, link in the description below. Become a member of the channel for behind-the-scenes content, input on possible content, and badges depending on your time as a member. Thanks for plugging in. I hope you picked up something new at least, and more is in the works, but for now, it's time to unplug. Much love.